The mentality of a warrior one. Comfort is the killer. You weren't born to live soft. The moment you start chasing comfort, you're already dying. Warriors are forged in discomfort. They wake up to the pain. They seek it out. When you hide from struggle, you lose your edge. The warrior mentality is about staying hard when the world wants you to soften up. You've got to choose the grind, choose the cold, choose the miles. Choose the pain over pleasure, because comfort is the death of greatness. Stop looking around. Be the one. You keep waiting for someone to show up and lead the way. Someone to inspire you, someone to call you out when you're slacking, someone to push you when you don't feel like pushing yourself. You scroll social media looking for motivation. You watch videos of champions, warriors, legends, and for a moment you feel the fire. But what happens when the screen goes dark? What happens when you're alone again? Let me break the truth to you. Nobody's coming. There's no hero riding in on a white horse. There's no rescue party. You are the damn rescue party. Everyone wants to follow someone strong. Someone with discipline. Someone who doesn't break when life gets heavy. Everyone's looking for the leader, but no one wants to be that leader. You keep waiting for the example when you were meant to become it. Stop looking around. Look in the mirror. That's the one. That's your soldier. That's your standard. Being the standard doesn't mean you're perfect. It means you don't settle. It means when everyone around you is making excuses, you find a reason to show up anyway. It means when they sleep in, you get up. When they quit, you fight harder. When they laugh at the grind, you double down and sharpen the blade. You don't get to become the standard by being popular. You get there by becoming obsessed with the mission, obsessed with effort, obsessed with progress. This isn't about flexing. It's about dominating the inner weakness that tells you to fall in line and stay comfortable. Most people are waiting for permission. They want someone to pat them on the back and say, "You're doing great." They want affirmation. They want applause. But the standard doesn't care if anyone notices. The standard is built in silence. The standard lives in the shadows of your suffering. The standard doesn't ask for credit. It just shows up and executes. When you walk into a room, people should feel it. Not because you talk loud, not because you're flashy, but because your energy is carved out of discipline. Your habits speak for themselves. You don't demand respect, you command it by how you live. Being the standard means being the thermostat, not the thermometer. You don't reflect the environment. You set the damn temperature. When things are lazy, you bring intensity. When people cut corners, you double down on quality. When everyone else is comfortable, you choose pain. You choose suffering. You choose discomfort because you know that's where the transformation happens. Look around at the world's soft people, weak minds, quick dopamine hits, no backbone. And then ask yourself, am I contributing to this weakness, or am I fighting against it? The moment you stop looking outward and start building inward, that's when everything changes. That's when your actions start punching holes through mediocrity. You wake up with fire. You train with rage. You work with precision. You speak with truth. You don't need titles. You don't need status. You are the standard, and here's the hard truth. No one's going to applaud your grind. They'll ignore your discipline. They'll mock your intensity. But deep down, they know they couldn't do what you do. And that's why you don't stop. You don't stop when you're tired. You don't stop when you're doubted. You don't stop when it's dark. You keep moving because you're not here to be average. You're here to remind people what a savage looks like. You're here to make people uncomfortable with how consistent you are. You're here to raise the bar so high they choke on your dust trying to catch up. Be the one. Be the reason someone else levels up. Be the fire in a room full of smoke. Be the standard. High standards are a daily choice. You don't wake up with high standards, you build them. You forge them. You bleed for them. They don't come from a motivational quote or a New Year's resolution. They come from waking up every single day and making a decision. I don't operate like the rest. You see, the reason most people never hit greatness is because they treat high standards like a sometimes thing. They think discipline is seasonal. They think effort is optional. They live like today doesn't count, and that's exactly why they stay average. But a warrior, a savage, someone who chooses to be the standard, they treat every damn day like it's game day, because guess what it is? You want to be great. Then you need to understand this. Your standards aren't what you talk about, they're what you tolerate. And most people tolerate too much garbage in their life. They tolerate missed workouts. They tolerate laziness. They tolerate broken promises. They tolerate low expectations from themselves and then wonder why they feel like something's missing. You want to live different? Then hold yourself to a higher code. And I'm not talking about one big act of discipline. I'm talking about the grind, the small decisions, the micro battles no one sees. That's where the standard is set, in the little moments that stack up into something savage. It's not the big speech. It's the alarm clock you don't snooze. It's not the Instagram post. It's the reps you do when no one's looking. It's not the applause. It's the times you keep going when no one's watching and everything in you wants to quit. That's the standard. The standard is brushing your teeth and lacing your shoes before sunrise. The standard is choosing the healthy meal when your mind screams for comfort food. The standard is giving 100% when your tank is on E. Not because someone's going to give you a medal, but because you don't know how to live any other way. And let me tell you something real. This world needs people with high standards. We're living in a time where weakness is glorified, where shortcuts are sold as success, where complaining is louder than commitment, where average is dressed up and marketed like excellence. That's why you have to be different. That's why you can't conform. That's why you don't back down. You raise your standards and then you protect them with everything you've got. Because once you raise the bar, people will try to pull you back. They'll say, take a break. You're too intense. You don't need to go that hard. And in those moments, you better remember, those people aren't coming with you. You weren't built to be like everyone else. You were built to break molds, set records, and lead from the front. Every day you wake up, you're faced with a choice. Lower your standards to match your emotions or raise your performance to meet your purpose. And it's not going to feel good. It's not supposed to. You'll be tired. You'll be sore. You'll be mentally drained. But guess what? That's the price. That's the tax. That's what it takes to live a life most people will never understand. That's what it takes to be the standard. You've got to stop chasing the high. Stop chasing motivation. You're not some fragile soul that needs constant affirmation. You're a weapon. You're a machine. And machines don't care about feelings. They operate on code. Your code is discipline. Your code is precision. Your code is execution. So don't talk about high standards. Live them. Be the example. Be the one who never wavers. Be the one who keeps swinging when the fight gets ugly. Be the one they look to when everyone else folds. Be the standard and never negotiate with that decision. Accountability is brutal. That's why it works. Everybody wants results. Everybody wants to be elite. But nobody wants to confront the mirror. Nobody wants to sit down, look themselves dead in the eye and say, "This is on me." That's accountability, and it's not cute. It's not easy. It's savage. It's bloody. It's war, but guess what? It's the only way you ever rise. You want to be the standard, you better stop pointing fingers and start pointing thumbs. Stop blaming your boss, your upbringing, your genetics, your schedule, your friends, your injuries, your parents, your environment. Every time you point outward, you give away your power. Real warriors own it all. You weren't dealt a perfect hand, neither was anyone else. You feel tired, so does the guy beating you. You're overwhelmed? Good, welcome to the fight. Accountability isn't about perfection. It's about ownership. It's about grabbing your life by the throat and saying, if it's broken, I fix it. If I failed, I own it. If it hurts, I still show up. But that's not what the world teaches. The world teaches you to deflect, to sugarcoat, to lie to yourself so you can sleep better at night. But there's no peace in lies. There's no power in avoidance. There's no growth in excuses. You want to elevate your life. Then hold yourself accountable with violence and precision. That means no soft talk. No, I'm doing my best. No, I had a lot going on. You hold the line, you review your actions, you analyze your results. You call yourself out before the world ever has the chance to. And when you screw up, and you don't hide, you don't cover it up. You put it on the table, dissect it, and fix it with action. Because here's the truth. Most people aren't failing because they're incapable. They're failing because they're dishonest. They've built a version of themselves in their head that doesn't match their actions in real life. They think they work hard. They think they give 100%. They think they live with standards, but the numbers say otherwise. The mirror doesn't lie. If you want to be elite, stop fantasizing and start measuring. Track your output, review your days, write it down, don't guess no. Did you run the miles? Did you eat clean? Did you train like a savage? Did you sharpen your mind, or did you waste it scrolling? Don't leave your standard up to feeling, leave it up to facts. Accountability hurts, it's uncomfortable, that's why most people avoid it. But that pain, that sting in your gut when you know you've let yourself down, that's fuel, that's the fire telling you to do better, be better, demand better. And let me make one thing clear, accountability doesn't stop when you succeed. In fact, the higher you go, the tighter it needs to be. Success has a way of making you soft. It whispers you've done enough. It tells you to coast. That's when you hit yourself harder. That's when you get more ruthless. That's when you double down on discipline and raise the bar again. Because being the standard means being relentless with your self-assessment. No excuses, no shortcuts, no exceptions. You can lie to your friends. You can lie to your coach. You can even lie to the world. But if you lie to yourself, you've already lost. You've already disqualified yourself from greatness. So here's the challenge. Hold yourself accountable like your life depends on it, because it does. Build a system, track the data, kill the lies, own the truth, and when it stings, smile, because that pain, that's the sign you're finally getting real. You're finally evolving. You're finally stepping into what it means to be the standard. And no one can take that from you, not because you said it, but because you lived it. You train alone. You lead in silence. You want to be the standard. You better get used to the silence. You better fall in love with solitude. Because real growth, real discipline, it doesn't happen in front of a crowd. It happens in the dark when it's just you, the clock, and your willpower. You train alone because there's no audience in greatness. No cheerleaders in suffering. No spotlight in the grind. It's just raw, unfiltered effort day after day when no one's watching, when no one's praising, and when no one gives a damn. This is where the standard is truly built. Most people can show up when the energy's high. Most people can push hard when the cameras are on, when someone's clapping, when the likes and views roll in. But what happens when the gym is empty, when it's pitch black at 4:30 a.m. and your legs are still sore from yesterday? What happens when no one texts you to show up? That's where we separate the real from the fake. That's where the warrior is carved. That's where you become the standard, not because anyone told you to, but because you told yourself, I don't need an audience. I don't need validation. I just need to show up. The truth is, if you always need someone else to push you, you'll never be great. If you always need a reason to try, you'll never be relentless. If you always need a crowd to perform, you'll never build the inner beast. The savage inside you is unseen, and that's what makes it powerful. Because while everyone else is performing, you're transforming. You lead in silence because your actions are too loud to require words. People notice without you saying a thing. They feel the intensity when you walk in the room. They see the discipline on your face. They see it in your eyes. They feel your presence because you've earned it not on stage, but in the shadows. You train alone not because you're antisocial, but because you know no one else can carry your standard. No one else knows what you're carrying. No one else understands the war you're fighting inside, and guess what? They're not supposed to. That's your mission. You do the early reps. You run the extra miles. You double the grind, not to post it, not to brag, but because that's your minimum, that's your expectation, that's your identity. That's what being the standard means. You have nothing to prove to anyone but yourself. Silence becomes your home. You don't need noise to feel alive. You don't need celebration to feel worthy. The standard inside you is deafening. It roars when you lace your shoes. It screams when you tighten your grip. It dominates when you're under pressure, when you're isolated, when everything in you wants to quit, but you keep going anyway, and people won't understand it. They'll say you're obsessed. They'll say you're overdoing it. Let them. Their words are distractions. Their opinions are poison. Because you weren't built to be understood, you were built to be respected. And respect isn't given to noise makers. It's earned in the trenches. Earned through quiet consistency. Earned through unseen reps. Earned through suffering without complaint. Earned through days, months, and years of doing what needs to be done, even when no one is watching. You lead in silence because you're not here to inspire through talk. You inspire through example. through the way you move, through your grind, through the pain you embrace and the excuses you bury. You're a lighthouse, not a spotlight. You shine regardless of who's watching, and because of that people follow. They won't say it out loud, but they'll start waking up earlier. They'll start pushing harder. They'll start questioning their own excuses. Why? Because your silence makes noise, because your standard speaks volumes. So keep training when it's lonely, keep pushing when it's hard, keep sharpening your sword when no one believes in you. Because in the end it's not about applause, it's not about attention, it's about integrity, identity, legacy. Be the one who trains alone, be the one who leads in silence, be the standard. Never lower yourself to fit and make others rise. If you've made it this far, you already understand one thing: being the standard doesn't mean blending in. It means standing the hell out. It means holding the line when everyone else is breaking. And it damn sure means never lowering your standards to make others comfortable. You were not built to shrink. You weren't made to dilute your fire so others don't feel the heat. If the people around you feel uncomfortable because of how hard you go, how focused you are, how relentless your mission is, that's on them. You're not here to fit into their level. You're here to force them to level up. Too many people dull their edge to stay liked. They water themselves down to keep the peace. But you can't be exceptional and accepted at the same time. The standard doesn't care about feelings. The standard doesn't ask for permission. The standard exists to make people uncomfortable enough to grow. And yet they'll talk. They'll call you extra. They'll say you're too intense. They'll say you're not balanced. That's fine, because average people will always demonize what exposes their laziness. You don't owe anyone your softness. You owe them your example. Being the standard means you make a choice to hold your pace when everyone else slows down, to demand more from yourself even when others tell you to relax. It means setting the bar high and daring the world to reach it. You don't drop your pace so they can keep up. You keep pushing, and in doing that, you show them what's possible. You show them what a real work ethic looks like. You show them what it means to be uncommon, and some people, they'll fall off, they'll leave, they'll hate you for it. Let them go. This path isn't for everyone. This path is narrow, it's steep, it's cold, and it's lonely, but that's what makes it worth walking. Because at the top there's no competition, just clarity, just legacy, just proof that the grind wins. You don't adjust your standard to fit the environment. You adjust the environment to match your standard, and if they don't rise with you, leave them behind, because every time you shrink, you kill a part of yourself. Every time you downplay your discipline to make others feel good about their laziness, you betray your calling. Every time you pull back, you move further from the beast you were meant to be. You want to be the standard, then be all of it. Be the loud one in the silence. Be the early riser in the crowd of sleepers. Be the only one putting in reps when everyone else is quitting. Be the reminder that comfort is a disease and pain is the cure. The moment you commit to being the standard, you accept this truth, you will be misunderstood. But that misunderstanding, that isolation, that resistance, it's proof you're walking in power. You weren't built for average. You weren't built to blend in. You were built to light the path and set the pace. And when people finally wake up and start to rise, don't lower yourself to meet them. Pull them up, but do it by action, not by compromise. Never lose your edge for the sake of being liked. They don't need your sympathy, they need your standard. So stop hiding your discipline, stop apologizing for your grind, stop backing down when your fire makes people sweat. If they can't handle your heat, that's their problem. Keep rising, keep shining, keep executing, because one day they'll look back and realize you didn't just talk about standards, you became the damn standard. Fire up next. Want the conclusion of the speech to wrap this masterpiece. Need the speech description, timestamps, or hashtags to complete the final structure. Be the standard. You want to live like the few, then stop thinking like the many. You've heard the message. You've felt the fire. Now it's time to live it. No more hiding, no more waiting, no more excuses. You've been called to lead, not to follow. You've been called to rise, not to retreat. And if you've got the guts to accept that truth, to live like a savage in a world built on softness, then it's time to make a decision. Be the one who raises the bar. Be the one who leads when it's dark. Be the one who carries the weight without complaint. Be the one who never folds. Be the one they look at and say, that's the standard. It's not about being better than anyone else. It's about being better than who you were yesterday. It's about dominating the war inside your own head and proving to yourself every damn day that you are not like the rest. This world doesn't need more talkers. It doesn't need more people faking greatness. It needs leaders who live it, bleed for it, and suffer for it. So from this moment on, stop lowering your light, stand tall, speak less, work more, and let your example shake the ground. Don't meet the standard. Don't chase the standard. Be the standard.